The day that had been spoken about since the beginning of time has arrived. The tragic day of Ashura in the land of Karbala. Today, Hussain ibn Ali stands all alone on the dry desert of Karbala. Only yesterday, his loved ones were around him, and the sound of their zikr was resonating like the humming of bees. But today, Hussain stands lonely in the scorching heat of the day, with parched lips and a bent back, tired from carrying the bodies all day from the Maqtal back to the tents. Our exhausted, thirsty and broken Imam gazes upon the bloody battlefield, remembering each tragedy he had seen earlier that day. Tears fill his eyes as he looks on. Should he cry, remembering the chest of Ali al-Akbar, or the neck of the infant Ali al-Asghar, or the pieces of Qasim, or the friendship of Habib ibn Madahir, or the arms of Abu al-Far. الآن انكسر ظهري وقلت حيلتي. His back is broken after you have left Abbas. How can one man lose so many loved ones, yet still remain standing strong? O lovers of the Ahlul Bayt, allow your hearts to break on the painful sufferings of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. As the time of Asr approaches, on one side we see a huge army eagerly awaiting to put Hussain to death, and on the other side, our lonely Imam with a drenched heart calls out, هل من ناصر ينصرنا هل من مغيث يغيثنا. Is there anyone to help us? Is there anyone to defend us? There was no movement and no answer to be heard, for all the bodies lay martyred on the hot plains of Karbala, with no warrior left beside him. Imam slowly makes his way to the tents to bid his final farewell. Imam al-Hussain, along with his sister Zainab, go to the tent of Zain al-Abidin, who is lying unwell and is unable to get up. Narrations tell us, when Imam al-Hussain entered the tent of his son, Imam Sajjad did not recognize his father, as Imam's whole body was drenched in blood. Tears flow from the eyes of Imam al-Hussain and fall on the face of Zain al-Abidin as he tells his son that the time has come for him to give his life in the way of Allah. Imam Sajjad asks, Aina Ammi al-Abbas? Imam replies, Qad qutil. He then asks, Aina Ali Akbar? The Imam responds, Qad qutil. They have all been killed, my son. Other than you and I, there are no men left. Imam Hussain gives his final will to his son and tells Imam Sajjad that you will now have to go from Karbala to Kufa and from Kufa to Sham. Sayyid Sajjad, when you go back to Medina, send my salams to the people of Medina and tell them that whenever they drink cold water, to remember my thirst. Stay strong, my son. You will have to carry Imamat forward and be there to protect the ladies. As Imam al-Hussein goes back into his tent, he cries out, Ya Zainab, Ya Kulthum, Ya Rubab, Ya Ruqayya, wa Ya Sukayna. عليكن مني السلام فهذا السلام وداعي. This is my final farewell. The women, on hearing this, surround him and begin to weep. With tears as Imam is leaving the camp, a soft voice cries out, Mahlan mahlan, Ya ibn al-Zahra. Slowly, slowly, O son of Zahra. Slowly, slowly, O son of Zahra. He turns and what does he see? He sees Zainab running to him. The time of Qiyamah had arrived. This was the final farewell of a brother to his sister. She cries and falls to the feet of the Imam. He slowly lifts her and embraces her and says, O sister, do not tear the arteries of my heart through your tears. But I ask you, Hussain, who does Zainab have but you? In whose care are you leaving your beloved sister? Imam then asks his sister to bring him the shroud that their mother had made for him. Zainab, with tears in her eyes, asks her brother, "Oh brother, please lower your neck so that I may kiss it." Hussain does so and asks why. And she says, "I remember the wasiyah of our mother, that your thirsty neck will be struck with a blunt sword." She kisses Hussain's neck for the last time. He then looks at Sayyida Zainab and asks her to raise her sleeves. "I remember the wasiyah from our mother, She had told me that your arms will be tied with ropes. He then kisses her arms for the last time. Tears flow as Imam mounts onto his horse and asks him to take him to the battlefield for the last time. He looks towards it and says, Zuljana, I know you are as tired as your master, but this is the last time I'm mounting on you. Take me to the place where my destiny awaits. This will be my journey's end. Zuljana does not move. Imam al-Hussain asks him, O Zuljana, what keeps you from entering into the battlefield? Zuljana turns his head all the way towards his back, as if to show that he is looking to something. The Imam also turns round to see what it is that is stopping him from moving, and he finds his 4-year-old daughter clung onto the leg of Zuljana. O Zuljana, do not take my father. O Zuljana, do not take my father to the battlefield, from which none of my dear ones have returned. Imam al-Hussain descends from his horse and rushes towards his little daughter and embraces her so tightly for the last time. Hussain weeps and says, "Oh my child, allow me to leave. The time has come." The Imam mounts again. He calls out, "La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah," and finally rides fiercely towards the battlefield where the immense shower of arrows begin. He cries out, "Ana Hussain ibn Ali." And then, from all directions, the soldiers advance towards Imam al-Hussain. Thirsty is my Imam, tired, alone, and wounded. But he fights as no one has ever seen anyone fight before. After all, he is the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib. They strike him from everywhere. Narrations state that our Madloom Imam was attacked by swords. He was targeted by arrows, and those who couldn't find anything would throw stones at my Imam. It seemed as if everyone wanted to have a share in oppressing our lonely master. Soon the call from the heavens was heard. Ya ayyatuha nafsul mutma'innah irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyah. O Hussain, Allah is pleased with you. Return back now. Come to us, Hussain. Imam Hussain hears this and puts down his sword, and Shimr calls upon his bloodthirsty men to now finish off Hussain ibn Ali. They surround the Imam from all angles, and he's made a target for their brutal arrows. As the arrows are released, they penetrate into the blessed body of Abu Abdullah. The Imam is now unable to contain himself on his horse, and his holy body falls onto the burning plains of Karbala. Imam pulls out the arrows and stands once more, but this time unable to fight. A three-headed arrow is shot into his chest. He grabs the arrow and cries out, Allahu Akbar. He is then struck upon his holy head and falls to the ground once more. Shimr shouts out to his army from afar, Await not, behead the man. As the army men get closer to Abu Abdullah, they are moved by his serenity. Nobody advances to kill him, but the brutal Shimr makes his move. By Allah, it is hard for me to even say this. Shimr advances towards Hussain. Sayyida Zainab, who had been watching all this time from Tilla Zainabiyya, would get consoled whenever she would hear her brother say Allahu Akbar after each strike. But when she can no more hear Imam Hussain, she starts looking for her brother. She has lost sight of her Hussain and can no longer see him. After a few moments, what does Zainab see? She sees what no eye can see. والشمر جالس على صدر الحسين. Shimr is sitting on the blessed chest of Imam al-Hussain, and as he places his dagger upon the thirsty neck of Hussain, and as the blunt knife beheads our Mawla, Zainab falls to the ground and cries out, Wa Husayna, wa Bata. The earth and skies are weeping blood and crying out, قد قتل الحسين بكربلاء. قد ذبح الحسين بكربلاء.